So in this video, I want to talk about how to become better at coding or just being a better coder in general. And this comes from 10 years of experience of me being in the coding industry. Now, I'm not the best coder, but I have improved over time. And I just want to share with you about a couple of ways about how you can improve your skills as a coder or become better at coding in general. So I think there's two steps to this. The first one is what you can do at work, and the second one, what you could do outside of work. Now, I feel like let's talk about inside of work because maybe some people want to become better and don't have enough time outside of work to improve themselves. So one thing I would recommend is the number one rule is where you work. Are you the smartest person there? If the answer is yes, you're probably not at the right place. It's very hard to improve without having people that are very, very good around you that are pushing you to get better. So there's a concept called plus minus equal, and it's a concept from I think from a famous boxer. I forget the name right now, but the concept is make sure when you're working on your craft, whatever it is. So this one is software development. Make sure you have somebody that you can learn from, your plus, somebody that you're teaching, your minus, and then somebody that is kind of equal to you, that you can essentially be at the same level and compete with them. So that way you're learning from a person with more experience, you're teaching your experience to somebody who doesn't know as much as you, but you're also working with people at the same level. So a lot of these times, like if you're in a company where a lot of people are smarter than you, they have very good engineers, that is a very good way to up your skill level. You just have no choice. Think of it this way. If you're playing a tennis game versus me, I know nothing about tennis. Maybe you don't know anything about tennis. If you're good at tennis, ignore this example. Pretend it's something else. But say we're playing against each other, and if we're both terrible, it's not, we're both going to be at the same level, and we won't improve that much. But imagine you played against somebody who was 5 times as good as you. Now they're going to probably beat you, 9 times out of 10, maybe 10 times out of 10. But go there, do that consistently for about 10 weeks. You will see that there's no other way other than you improving. There's no other way. You'll just have to up your game slow and slowly. You're going to get better. You're going to improve. So that's the same concept with being around smarter people, being around people that are very talented, and you got to work your way into those teams. So ask yourself that question honestly. What kind of team are you in right now? So that's the biggest example I can tell you of where you're working. The other one is what you're working on. Now, a lot of people like to be siloed. Are you working on the same stuff a lot of the time? Are you kind of just only in the front end, only on the one specific product? Are you afraid to branch out and try some other technology in your company? Maybe they want somebody on the back end and you're a front end developer. Maybe you're in the back end and they have some front end tasks. Maybe there's some DevOps tasks. Maybe there's some new testing tools that you can explore. Everything you learn will add on to your expertise. Now, I do recommend that if you're, say, an Android developer, that you learn Android very, very, very well. But that doesn't mean that you can't branch out. You don't understand. Maybe you can understand a bit about the testing environments on Android. Maybe you can understand a bit about the different kind of technologies like push notification that go along with Android. Maybe you can learn React Native. Maybe you can learn do a little backend test and understand how the APIs work, right? So those things will make you all around a better developer because you're exposing yourself to so many different technologies. Now, another way you can do this is change jobs, and that's something you have to be comfortable with. And typically, if you go to another job, you will most likely up your game depending on where you go, but you will learn something new. You will become better because of it, as long as you're kind of working on tasks that are unfamiliar to you. So you always want to find that level of comfort where you're not that comfortable, but also you're not too kind of like don't know what's going on. Like you don't want to be a junior engineer and take like a team lead position. It's not going to work out, right? But you're a junior engineer, maybe you take an intermediate position a year before you're ready, you're going to get better. There's no way. They'll ask you to do more things, you'll get more responsibility, and you'll just have to up your game. So that's the first thing that you could do at work to become a better developer. Now, outside of work, I think the most common thing that you can do is work on your own project. Now, what's important, and I'll make a separate video about this, is to have a passion project. So something that you can work on that is in either technology your company's in or a completely different technology, some application that would benefit you in your everyday life. And I'll give you a real quick example. So for me, I wanted to learn a bit more mobile development. I didn't know any React Native, so I thought, hey, why don't I learn this? So I took a course on Udemy. I learned a bit, but I didn't really know how to use it. But then I got the idea of my downstairs grocery store. That's a pretty big chain in my building. So they have a kind of like a survey that they have like receipts for. So in that survey, there's like a code that you have to copy manually and then go through a survey that's like 10-20 minutes. So I thought, hey, why don't I automate this using a mobile app? I take a picture, it takes the code, uses Google Vision API to read the code, and then I scrape their website and understand how to submit a survey without doing any work myself, and then submit it on my behalf, and then I have a chance to win like a $1,000-$2,000 grocery, a chance to win like $1,000 or $2,000 in free groceries. So that's something that kind of I came up with to kind of like get me interested, get me really working on it. Now, when I did this, I learned a lot. Like React Native, I had no idea about it. Navigation menus, all this stuff in mobile development, I had no clue about. And after I did this, now I learned about Google Vision API, mobile development. I learned about Expo, how to develop React Native. I also learned a bit like more about website scraping and how to submit API. So I learned a whole ton of stuff just by working on this small little project. So if you have time outside of work, picking a project like this that would help you in your everyday life, even if it's just a little thing that you can automate, will take you to another level as a developer. Now, the downside is you might burn out a bit working on both, but I feel like those are two different sides of your brain. Something that if you're very interested in, something that you maybe at work, maybe that work isn't as interesting to you. So doing, even though they're the same thing, it could be different, right? Like, so that's, I think that outside of work, it's one of the good things that you can do. Now, the other thing that you can do is subscribe to a bunch of newsletters. I know, like I like JavaScript, so JavaScript Weekly, React Weekly, React Native Weekly. I just pick 1 or 2 articles a week that I read and maybe learn about something new, like a new tool. So that's another way that you can improve. Now, there are podcasts. I feel like they're too time consuming. I much prefer articles that are like kind of put together in a way that more convenient for me. So the most interesting thing in the week. And what I ended up finding out is that a lot of those tools that are recommended to me, sometimes I'll take them into work and I'll start using them, and people will be impressed with me, like, wow, that's a really cool tool that you learned, Hussein. Like, thanks for making it part of the team. And it happened countless amount of times, and all it came from is from me reading articles and kind of being in the know about the industry. So there's just a couple of ways that you can kind of become a better coder or developer, or just become better at coding, is through doing things like this during work hours and outside of work hours. So I hope that helps you a little more, and let me know if you have any questions.